38th Street in Ocala. Daily till 4, Saturdays till 3, keeping Ocala green and growing for more than 70 years.
On the first and third Wednesday mornings each month at 9:05 a.m., Robert Colin with On Top of the World will be our guest as we learn all about the exciting lifestyle and new home choices available at Ocala's premier adult active community, On Top of the World. From time to time, Robert will bring guests, and you're sure to enjoy our little chats. After all, you deserve the world, and we bring it to you.
Now you've done it. Have you lost your mind? He's back. And you're listening again. A legend in his own mind. Don't believe me? Just ask him. Here's Tom Schmitz live on WOCA. The Source.
Welcome back to Ocala Talks. See, during the break, we didn't talk police stuff. Greg Martin joins us. Major Greg Martin from the Ocala Police Department joins us. He's an avid sports guy.
Avid.
Just like I am.
Love it.
We were discussing the finer ridiculousness of golf and the state it's in today.
Oh my goodness.
And how everybody's a hypocrite. Just admit, hey, it's like in crime.
Yeah.
If you go to when the officer sits there, there's people think the officers lie when they go, look, if you tell us the truth now, we can help you out.
Yeah.
If you wait and we have to find it all out, I can't go to the district attorney and say, hey, the guy while he did something wrong or she did something wrong, they owned it. These kind of conversations actually take place between the DA's office and police. Do they not?
They do. But, but on the flip side of that, for anyone out there that there's any attorney sitting in their car and going, whoa, 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 whoa. There is a flip side of that. Depending on your history, depending on.
Oh, yeah, of course.
But the bottom line is, like, when you're dead to rights and there's something you really can't fight off, those conversations do have. I mean,
if you don't waste resources and everything.
And trust me, the judges are the same way. They're like, man, if we could put this to bed without depots, without first appearances, without spending a lot of money, come up with an agreement. But it's a fine line. If you're that situation in that car or that whoever it is arrested, you're thinking to yourself, let me consult with my attorney. 100% consult with your attorney. But have your attorney get with our attorney. Let's talk.
Yeah. Well, that's all we're saying about these golf tournaments. Just be honest about your motivation. That's all.
What? Pat Perez, that's all I have to say. Thank you, Pat. Thank you, Pat Perez, for being honest.
He may be my favorite golfer right now.
He is my favorite live golfer.
He may be my
favorite golfer right now. At least he's honest.
Pat owned it. Pat goes, I'm 43, fat, and I've been doing this for a long time.
I'm done traveling around the world to try to make the cut line. Just pay me.
They paid me this amount of money. It's more than I've ever made in my life.
Just pay me.
Deuces.
Yeah, deuces. See you later.
We talk about people when we were joking about how this golf is and everything, but we talk about conversations that happen with people. There is kind of a working understanding that you come up and fess up, so we don't have to do all this investigation and everything. And it's not charges don't get dropped or anything. You still get charged, but that does give a little bit of a bond's not the right word, but a working relationship with the person who made a mistake and is owning it, and the police and the lawyers and all, they're investigating it, doesn't it?
Well, I mean, there's a lot that goes into that. Over the course of my career, I was brought up in a way that if you make a mistake, you step to the table, sit down and own it. And it's a tough thing to say to people, especially if they've been arrested before, right? Because you can't make promises. You can never make promises to somebody you arrest. But depending on the type of crime, depending on what you've done, I mean, if you're, the bottom line is establishing a rapport and a conversation always is going to help you because, law enforcement does have a lot of flexibility. I've pulled people over and I've not charged people. We have the flexibility, and it's called discretion, to not charge people. We could pull people, when I arrest people for burglaries, we have conversations with the state. I can charge you with 4 and not charge you with the other 7. But those are uncomfortable conversations because sometimes when you're sitting on the other side of the table, you're afraid to have those conversations because you don't want to get stuck to the board and go to prison for the rest of your life. But, you know, what we always tell people is that, look, I'm not out to ruin Tom Schmidt's day. I'm not out ruin Tom. I'm out to correct the issue to make sure that Tom Schmidt doesn't make this mistake again, but also having some compassion with Tom to understand, hey, have your attorney get with the state attorney. We can try to figure something out before going to trial that's going to be the best for you. But you always want to make sure that the people sitting across the other table understand, hey, consult with your attorney. But my belief is that they can't think that I'm always out here trying to bury him in the bottom of the jail. That's not that. And the majority of good people make mistakes, and when they make mistakes, we do always advocate sometimes, and I would say always, we do advocate sometimes to say, look, the guy admitted to it. I'm good with it. If you want to just come up with something that's good for him, good for his family, and the judge is okay, we're okay with that. But there are some instances where it's very difficult. To I'll tell the state, hey, look, you look at the guy's history, he was made it extremely difficult. We're going to make it extremely difficult, the best you possibly can. So, but yeah, I mean, but it is a tough thing. I mean, you have people listening, the audience is like, oh man, I've been told to keep my mouth shut, don't say nothing. What I'm saying is you should 100% consult with an attorney, but it's never going to hurt you, depending on the circumstances, to be polite and courteous, because the person on the side of the table, we're not out to get you. It just so happens you make a mistake. So
I can only go back on my experiences, and the biggest mistake I made in my life was 5 ounces of cocaine at one time.
Yeah.
And the Tri-County Drug Task Force of Bullitt County, Screven County, Georgia, drugged me out of my car, face down on the ground, knee in the back, 9mm right there, saying don't move. And the voice, I go, Todd, it's me. He goes, not tonight. Tonight, I'm Sergeant Todd Mashburn of the Drug County Task Force, and you're a criminal.
Yep.
It wasn't anything personal. Todd and I are still best friends, and I still give the credence that I'm here talking to you today.
Right.
That life-saving event was Todd Mashburn telling me, not tonight. Tonight I'm Sergeant Mashburn of the Tri-County Drug Task Force.
Yeah.
But I already had what you're saying. Todd, when he went to the DA and said, hey, I know the guy, blah, blah, blah. The guy goes, he got 2 prior felony convictions. We're not letting him, and rightfully so.
Right.
I had not learned my lesson. They'd sent me to diversionary and boot camp. It was a day camp to me. I was like, whatever, I'm not taking this serious.
Right.
You get sentenced to 10 years.
That's very real.
That door locks, and you don't think for the calendar 365 days 10 times. That had a whole lot more deterrent. So at that situation, it wouldn't have been good, even though Todd asked the DA, can we do – I didn't need that favor. I needed to be a person that was put away to understand we're tired of saving you.
Right.
We're tired of people getting you out of trouble because you're Tom and you know the right people to get you out of trouble.
Yeah.
If that hadn't happened, I'd be dead now.
Yeah. So the thing that people maybe have a misconception of is that state attorneys, even private attorneys, judges, law enforcement, if you don't have a history, you don't have any priors, everybody is trying to work for the right reason. Nobody wants to put people in jail who don't need to be in jail.
No, but at that time in my life, I'd been arrested 29 times and convicted of 2 felonies.
Yeah, well, that's pretty bad, Tom.
Okay.
That's pretty bad. And you did, obviously, and you're right. You have to, at some point in time, the judges and everybody, like, hey, you know what? We're done with this nonsense.
I mean, none of it was drug related till that one. They was all, me beating people up and stuff. But still, it was a conglomeration of a lot of bad acts.
It's about changing behavior, right? Inevitably, that's what it's all about. It's about changing behavior. So initially on, that's what everybody wants to do. Hey, is this a mistake? If it's a mistake, let's change behavior.
Boot camp didn't change anything.
But patterns, when you start getting into patterns and trying to figure out the best way to deter that when something becomes a pattern, then you got to change the course, because obviously our behavior in trying to curb your behavior is not working. So the criminal justice system, a lot of people say there's a lot of failures in it, and we can't always make it better and better and better. The bottom line is that depending on your circumstance, depending on what is necessary at that time to change that behavior, is what the judges and the attorneys try to do. But they also have to take into consideration that depending on what you've done, like gun laws, right, 1020 life, some of the stipulations that are put in play in the past, sometimes those are out of our hands altogether. It's like I don't have any.
No, there's minimum requirements.
When I was a young whippersnapper back in 1996, 97, 98, I used to have a lot of flexibility. I was on the bike unit working drug work. My partners and I used to have a lot of flexibility. If it was a misdemeanor, depending on the misdemeanor, depending on your history, we'd have some discretion of flexibility, issuing notice to peers, letting them go back home that night. But we had zero discretion on felonies. You know, if it was a felony, you went for the ride. But we also helped a lot of people back in the day get into programs, communications with the state on the back end, trying to help them out because they had no priors. And we had a lot of success stories from that. But in the end, it's all about changing behavior. If your behavior doesn't change based on the early portions of it, then yeah.
And mine didn't.
Nope.
And by the way, it has changed exponentially since that judge banged the gavel and said, next case.
Next case, yeah.
And said it with no impunity, like I was a number and move on.
Yeah, move on.
Because that's how I needed to be treated.
Yep. Yeah, oh yeah. That's
you
tough.
know, it was an awakening experience.
Yeah.
It's a fattening experience, but because I got fatter, I quit doing cocaine, but but still. But it saved my life. It gave me the opportunity to meet a wonderful woman in Susan, my wife now and everything. And all of that is because a DA said, not this time.
Not this time.
And every now and then you need to hear, not this time. You know, but sometimes your hands are tied. And I'll give you an example. The most dangerous situation I've learned, I listen to you guys.
Yeah.
The most dangerous situation you guys face on a regular basis is a domestic.
Oh, yeah.
You walk up to a domestic, you don't know what's going on in domestic or anything. But the way the law reads now, once you're called out to a domestic and you can figure out who was the aggressor, they're going to jail. Because people have been killed in domestics when hey, you go here, you go here. And so because of the past history, a domestic, your hands are tied a lot of times in a domestic.
Yeah, domestic cases are tough because when you arrive on scene, if you can determine a primary aggressor between the two, they're volatile situations, and you can't just in some typical disturbances where you go like, hey, Tom, you go your way, Susan, go your way. When it's domestic, and I show up and there's evidence of a physical altercation, and the majority of the time, hopefully, an independent witness that can validate, because we all know how things can go sideways. We are required by the state of Florida to take somebody in custody.
Right. There's nothing you can do about that.
But it's also very tricky because the minute, if I show up and Susan calls because she wants Tom to go, but the minute we go hands-on with Tom, Susan might pick up a frying pan.
Because she didn't want me arrested.
She didn't want you arrested. She just wanted you to go to your uncle's house or somewhere to chill out for the night.
And that's not, you can't do that.
Nope, can't do that. So yeah, there's a lot of data where obviously suicide, law enforcement suicide and vehicle crashes, but domestics are very, very dangerous situations. We send the majority of every single time, we dispatch 2 officers to every domestic because you never know what's going to happen.
You never know what you're coming in on.
It goes sideways fast in a domestic.
Look, I remember my stepfather was very abusive. And I remember one time I came home and he was choking my mom on the couch. So I pulled him off. He decided to turn his wrath on me. But at that time, I'd finally had enough. So we get in the tussle. He doesn't end up on the good side of the tussle. The cops show up. The cops say, so he was choking me. She had marks on her neck where he had bruised her, hold her down. I asked my younger sister, who was 13 at the time. She tells the same story I told everything. So the cops going to take Alan. They're going to tell him he's going out in the ambulance, tell him after the hospital he's going to go to jail. That night, both my parents went to jail, but my stepdad and my mom went to jail because my mom attacked the cop that was going to take him to jail.
Yeah.
And I'm like, he was just choking you on the couch.
Yep.
And then you go out and slap the cop in the face that's going to tell him he's going to jail.
Yeah, that's a bad thing.
And that happens more times than people realize.
Yep. It does. It does. It's tricky, but
we went to foster care that night. My sister went with my aunt. I didn't. I'd already had priors for beating up my stepfather, so I had to stay in juvenile detention. I was not a good kid, Greg. Are you understanding this?
It's very entertaining, to say the least.
Oh, I was not a good kid.
It's all right, but you're a good guy now.
I broke into a radio station one time at the tower site where the tower is in the building. Me and 2 of my buddies took a roof vent off, went down in there, looked around, said, that's what this is. Unlocked the door, walked out, didn't damage anything, nothing. Didn't think anything about it. We caused $30,000 worth of damage. You know how?
For tearing up the.
That was Florida, middle of the summer.
Air conditioning.
We tore the roof vent off.
Oh, yeah.
Now there's a big hole in the roof. What happens every afternoon in Florida in the summer?
Rains.
Yeah, right, and all that
Drywall,
electronic equipment.
sheetrock.
Oh, the
Oh, yeah.
electronics and everything.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, shit.
Nice job, Tom.
Oh, yeah.
That's fantastic
Yeah,
work.
we idiots.
Yep.
Complete. And you know what we
How
were?
old were you?
We were 15, and we were juveniles with time on our hands.
There you go. Hey, you work right back to the original topic. Solid radio work.
Yep, we were juveniles with time on our hands because my dad worked, my mom worked.
Yep.
They just went through a divorce, so I was in that position where don't mess with me. You can't even get your own life together. I ain't listening to you.
That's it.
And we did not do any. We didn't go in there to damage anything.
Yeah.
Damage the whole place.
The whole place.
Because we were kids. We didn't think about the reaction or what could happen.
Impulsive.
We were like, what's inside there?
Yeah.
How can we get in to find out what's inside there?
Yeah.
But we had time on our hands.
Time.
And a bunch of neighbors that go, well, I saw the Schmitz kid and the other two kids sent the cops right to our house.
Oh, yeah. Threw you under the bus and
we went walking down the dirt road, come back down the dirt road. The only people that walked down that dirt road, the only traffic that went down that dirt road the whole day was us three kids.
Yep.
And no, we weren't down there. Yes, you were.
Yeah.
So, that goes back to time on your hands.
Time on your hands.
Is there anything activities-wise that we got going on now that helps with time on the hands?
Well, unfortunately, we don't have our summer
coming
camps.
out of COVID and everything.
Yeah, I know. COVID's put a damper on a lot of our summer programs, but the Big Sun has got summer camps going on for soccer. Obviously, you got the pools opened up, on both sides of town for kids to get over there. So
I noticed the skating rink is open during the day.
Skating rink is open during the day.
Bowling
Kids
alleys,
can get there.
yeah.
You can go bowling. We got some beautiful movie theaters.
Mall safe.
The mall's safe. There's a lot of stuff to do. It's just a matter of planning and making sure that your kids have activities throughout the day. You certainly don't want them sitting around playing video games all day long. But knowing who they're with, making sure they have some activities planned and keeping them moving, keeping their brain engaged.
Speaking of video games, you ready for this?
No, go ahead.
Finally broke down. I finally, at 55 years old, have become a full-time adult now.
You stopped playing video games?
I stopped playing video games about 10 years ago, but I refused to sell my video game set just in case I ever wanted to again.
Yeah.
And I have one from 1992 that is a Sega Genesis. No. And a Sega CD combination.
Oh, I remember that.
Where they're both on the same one.
I remember that.
And I got Sega CDs and Sega Genesis games that some of these games I got are $300-400 now for collectors.
Yeah.
And I'm finally put it up for sale. I finally am gonna get rid of my.
Some lucky person.
I don't really want. My wife was like, what?
Some lucky person.
I'm gonna blame my wife on this one.
Don't blame your wife because if she's listening. You got to go.
I hadn't used the thing in 10 years. It just sits in a bin,
but
taking up space.
So
I should have sold it 10 years ago.
So when I went into the Army, I had a complete Star Wars figurine set.
Yep.
In the Darth Vader case.
Right. Oh yeah, I remember the plastic Darth Vader carrying case.
And every single slot, every single character, and I had a Millennium Falcon.
Oh, there you go.
Right. So I went in the Army, and while I was in the Army, my mom decided to have a garage sale.
Uh-oh.
And I came home.
You didn't have a Millennium Falcon.
She sold for $15 or $10 or something.
Oh no.
And I had the very first Star Wars edition comic book.
Uh-oh.
In a plastic covering.
This is no good.
I
sold it for $1.
I don't know what she sold that for, but she sold all my Star Wars comic books.
That's why you still have to work.
Do you know what they're
That's why
worth?
you still have to work.
Do you know what they'd be worth right now?
Oh, the Darth Vader carrying case with everything in it that came with it, because it was all sold separately. But if you had that, that's worth thousands.
Every single character, every single lightsaber, I'm talking loaded down to a T, gone, all of it. I don't even know what I had.
Did your mom not like you?
My mom needed the money. And I don't know what she bought for $15 for the Millennium Falcon, but you want to talk, the whole roof
Probably a
came
care
off.
package for you in the Army.
Yeah, she sold my brother's stuff too. My brother lost some of his stuff too. But yeah, I came back and it was all baseball cards. She got rid of some of my baseball cards. I don't know what was going on. I should have sued her.
My mom My mom got into my baseball card collection when I was in college. She went cleaning her garage area out. And I had some baseball cards from the 50s and 60s. Full sets.
Roger Maris.
Full
Mickey
sets.
Mantle. Oh, yeah.
And she sold them at the St. Patrick's Catholic Church Bazaar flea market.
To raise money for the church.
To raise money for the church.
Man, good for her.
And I think my baseball card, I think she said she ended up getting like $100 for my baseball card collection. That baseball card collection. I had those from when I was a kid.
Hundreds of thousands.
Oh, I had a Mickey Mantle card. Yeah. I had Nolan Ryan. I had like 4 or 5 Nolan Ryan rookie cards.
Yeah.
I had Yogi Berra cards. I had cards.
Yeah.
Hank Aaron from 1956 when they won the World Series. All kind of cards because my dad had given them to me and everything. Yeah, gone.
Yeah.
$100. Now they'd be worth, even with the 1994 strike and then how it's rebounded and everything, they'd be worth thousands and thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
But she gave $100 to the church.
Hey, you know what? And some lucky person got some good money to the church, and they did some good deeds for.
She got $100 for the church. So Father Larkin and Father O'Flaherty were both happy. Probably a little Irish whiskey, smoking their cigarettes, talking about how great my mom was for giving them $100.
They probably still have your baseball cards.
I promise you. Father John O'Flaherty probably went to his grave with my baseball cards.
Yeah, he still has them.
He was the funniest guy. He would go out to Denny's to breakfast or something after a church bazaar or something. Yeah, it's about to pour.
No, I thought it was smoke.
No, is it smoke?
It looks like smoke.
Ooh, it may be smoke now that I'm looking at it.
Yeah.
That may be smoke now that I'm looking at it. You might need to get out and see what's going on the radio.
I'm a policeman, not a fireman.
That is smoke.
That is smoke. Something's on fire.
Something's on fire. So if you're around the airport area, take extra precaution. There's some smoke in the area. So take precaution of that. So what's the rest of your day now? Because you're in charge of investigations. So you go back and sit and just get briefed on all the stuff going on over the weekend and what investigation. I mean, you're the investigator guy. You don't have any help. It's just you, right?
Oh no. No, nice try. I am blessed with a phenomenal group of leadership under the investigation. I'm in charge of investigations, intelligence, victim witness advocates, the special deployment team, and our evidence section. So I've got good leadership.
What is intelligence? Because Chicago PD made intelligence department famous, but what is that?
So we have 2 civilian intel analysts, but we are blessed because one of them is a retired captain and the other one is retired from the FBI. And then we have a team of 4 detectives and a supervisor, and it's raining now, so you're right.
So it was rain.
It's rain. I think it's a combination of both. But our intel analysts are linked into multiple programs and applications nationwide, and they do a tremendous amount of research trying to help out with some of our investigations, some of our leads, some of our bulletins that come in reference to protests. Their jobs are endless. So they handle some short-term investigations, long-term investigations, but they do a phenomenal job with gathering information, disseminating information on the proactive back-end side of it, to where we're being more proactive to make sure that if we have a protest coming in at the abortion clinics, that we have proper manpower, some marches or walks. So these guys are constantly, and gals are constantly on the social media, constantly doing research. And then when we have some sophisticated cases to where we're trying to track down leads, our men and women in the Intel Bureau are digging into those to try to tremendous asset for our agency, and they do great work.
I was watching, before we let you go, I was watching last night a program called First Blood, and they did the Danny Rawlings story. Mm-hmm. Don Maines from the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, who he worked for, he was there. And they showed that one scene, he goes, Danny Rawlings was already in custody in Marion County for an armed robbery of a grocery store.
Right.
And as they showed the report, and the only reason I bring this up because every day I see something that reminds me. So showing the report, you could see, and I guess it was the arresting officer. You couldn't read that real well.
Right.
But it said DET Greg Gray.
Greg Gray. Yep.
And, Greg was one of the officers on the scene that took Rawlings in custody.
Yep.
The former chief. So,
yep.
Hey, Greg, thanks for coming by and spending the hour with us.
It's always a pleasure.
I hope you don't get too, well, now the rain stopped.
No, it's still raining.
Oh.
It's
Well, it
still
may
running.
have got dissipated the smoke, maybe. If that was smoke, I don't know. I still ain't sold.
Well, I'm going to get wet either way. So I appreciate you
Either
having me
way.
on, Tom. As always, it's a pleasure, bud.
Thanks. Tell the chief next month, he's got some sort of duty he needs
Hey,
to be here for.
listen, the chief is a busy man, and he's doing great work for our department. So
I know where he was today. I'm a little upset about that. I'll be honest with you. We'll take a break. We'll be right back. More after this timeout. You're listening to Ocala Talks on 1370 AM, 96.3 FM. This is WOCA, The Source.
You get asked every day. This is one.
all right, Tom. On TV.
Of all the questions you get.
Broadcasting from the Ocala International Airport, this is WOCA AM, W242CA FM, Ocala, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
It's time for Farm and Ranch headlines on the Southeast AgNet. I'm Tyron Spearman reporting. Southeast peanut growers are being reminded and registered